You can tell Stranger Things Season 5 is right around the corner when we're getting a new piece of news every single day. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. I'll be honest, I didn't expect to be making another video this soon, but a banger article from Variety dropped where they interviewed the Duffers and detailed a lot of juicy tidbits about what we could see in Season 5 and beyond, so I had to sit down and make this video. Before I get into it, though, hit that like button, comment down below your take on everything that's detailed in this Variety article, and of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. I mean, quite a bit. And if you want extra content from the world of Stranger Things and more, including live Q&As, Patreon is the place to be. I got lots of exclusive content over there, and that community is continuing to grow, so join the Patreon community today for extra content. One final thing, if you want your own Stranger Things merch just like this, you can get it at Firefly Shop. If you use code FILMSTOCKED10, you get yourself a discount. Go ahead and stock up, no pun intended, on some Stranger Things merch as we approach Season 5. So I woke up today and I didn't expect to see that an article from Variety had dropped. It's titled "Saying Goodbye to Stranger Things." I have the full article linked in the description of this video. I'm not going to sit here and read it word for word. I, however, have read the article on my own time, went through and detailed what I believe to be some of the highlights, the key points I wanted to mention. And that being said, everything I'm about to go through is in the order it's presented in the article. To begin with, a scene from Season 5, Episode 4, aka Sorcerer, is being described. And I'm not making this up. There was a journalist on set. Here's what they wrote. Bang! Inside a dark military lab, a booming voice announces an unseen explosive event, and Millie Bobby Brown falls to the floor, a drop of blood trickling from her nose. Sirens flash above her as she curls up amid piles of shattered glass and smashed equipment. Signs of a recent violent struggle. She cries out in pain, and the disembodied voice speaks once more. Quote, "You hear footsteps coming from behind the door," unquote, says Matt Duffer, his direction piped in from a hidden speaker. Quote, "Closer, closer, door opens. You see something. Get up. Cut." Unquote. The article goes on to say that this is in the middle of directing the show's feature-length 4th episode, Sorcerer, and today's scene, day 131 of the year-long shoot, places Millie Bobby Brown's psychokinetic teenage heroine 11 at the precipice of a game-changing revelation. That's a wild way to open your article right there. We're talking about the finale of Season 5, Volume 1. What's described here sounds exactly like this scene that we've seen shots from in both the teaser trailer and the To-Doom date announcement to a T. The flashing lights and red sirens, along with the broken glass and sort of the shambles behind 11. Her nose is bleeding, just like in the description. So this that we're looking at right now is 1,000,000% a shot from Sorcerer, which is episode 4 of Season 5. Now that we know this is from that episode, it kind of has me thinking the entire military base showdown is going to be in the episode Sorcerer. This could include Vecna's return to Hawkins, where we see him walking through a gate and deflecting fire. We know that's going to be in downtown Hawkins, right outside of the library gate that has been introduced in Season 5. You can tell because when Mike's right here, Melvold's general store is over his head. I don't know if there's any trailer editing trickeration at play here, but if it all is from the same moment, that's probably Sorcerer. And we know Vecna's gonna pull up the military base, probably do some serious damage based on some photos that have been around the town, so that all seems like it's going to be Sorcerer. Pair that again with the Duffer's comments that Sorcerer is the most logistically insane shoot of their lives, and has me thinking we're getting maybe the craziest action set piece the show has to offer here.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit.
The article goes on to say 11 is at the precipice of a game-changing revelation. What could this be? My money is on some sort of connection potentially between 11 and Vecna, maybe even involving her true origins and how she got her powers. A retcon, if you will. They could also pull from some of the lore that the first Shadow play briefly explores and expand upon that even further. But with this being the Volume 1 finale, this could be a moment that plays out like the end of Empire Strikes Back or Infinity War, with a shocking reveal or plot twist that recontextualizes what we thought we knew, and then we have to sit there and wait a whole month to see the next episode. Also, the mysterious door line opens the door, no pun intended, to a lot of possibilities. For one, is this article hiding the fact that a mysterious door is actually a gate and they couldn't just get into spoiler territory? Or is this door potentially the same door that we've seen in the One Last Adventure video that dropped not too long ago out in the field? Shout out to one of my subscribers, Ty, for actually snagging that. We'll obviously find out when we sit down to watch Season 5, Episode 4, sorcerer. But this episode is confirmed to be 1 hour and 23 minutes long, so I know it has the potential to go down as one of the best episodes of the show. And if we're looking at the track record of episode 4s in Stranger Things history, season 4 gave us Dear Billy, season 3 gave us the sauna test. They're 2 all-time episodes in the history of Stranger Things. I have a feeling Sorcerer's gonna be up there right alongside him. As the article progresses, it then delves into the personal growth the Duffer Brothers have experienced on their decade-plus long journey of making Stranger Things, including their absolute obsession with sticking the landing for this show and not disappointing the fans. The article goes on to say, we do every last remaining thing we wanted to do with the Demogorgons and Mind Flayer and Vecna and the Upside Down and Hawkins and all these characters. This is a complete story. It's done. So it certainly sounds like they're leaving it all in the field, and their devotion to this show, their love for the show is going to shine through. They're going to answer all the questions that we have. The Variety article then gets in detail with the early days of Stranger Things, from the casting of now iconic characters to the Duffers' commitment to the series through the early years, despite their desires to seek out other stories at times, and it even discusses the new deal the Duffers have to make films for Paramount, citing the ability to release films theatrically with Paramount as a major reason for leaving Netflix. This article then answers a question that a lot of us had: will the season 5 finale, right, the series finale of the show, be screened in theaters? And the answer is no.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
The logic behind this is that Stranger Things was a Netflix show from the jump, experienced on Netflix, and so releasing it in theaters might not feel right to the show. Essentially, it's a streaming show. The finale should be seen on streaming. And I'm not saying I 100% agree. Like, if I had to choose how to watch it, of course I would much rather see it on a big screen, but at the same time, I've watched Stranger Things on TV forever. I feel like I want to experience the finale that way. Plus, I don't want to open a can of worms here, but if I saw this in theaters and some asshole was on his phone texting or talking over the whole thing, I'd be irate. So I definitely want to have control over the environment where I watch the finale, and I want to do that in the comfort of my own home. But the discussion of the Duffer Brothers moving on from Netflix naturally led to the topic of the highly anticipated Stranger Things spin-off, or multiple spin-offs. We know we're getting Stranger Things Tales from 85. This is the animated spin-off set in 1985, only a few months after the events of season 2. Of course, that's coming to Netflix at some point in time, but there's also a live action spin-off that's been reported for a while now. We just have zero details on it. The article reads that Matt Duffer reiterates they have no desire to increasingly expand what could become an insanely convoluted mythology after season 5. Instead, another Stranger Things show would live in a bit of a different world, but there's going to be a connective tissue. The Duffers have been imagining that world, but they aren't telling anyone, including their closest collaborators, about it yet. Sean Levy clarifies this by saying the Duffers have been very protective of spin-off talk and that the Matt Ross bubble is sacred. So to me, it sounds like they're intentionally withholding details of that potential live-action spin-off because season 5 and the finale of the show will likely spoil what it is. Who knows how they're going to conclude this show with regard to the Upside Down? Will it be gone? Will it appear in another city or another world, if you will? That's kind of what I'm getting, is that yes, we'll get a live-action spin-off, but it'll be not in Hawkins, Indiana. It'll be a completely new group of characters, and they'll have some other supernatural entity in their town, but will that relate to the Upside Down or Dimension X? Only time will tell. Again, it sounds like they don't want to get too convoluted with the mythology of it all, which I appreciate, but they're still going to have something set within the universe of Stranger Things, maybe just not on our world, who knows. This is a wild thought I haven't heard anyone bring up, but we know in the context of Stranger Things, the Mind Flayer has conquered different races and species that it views as inferior. What if we get a story with people that aren't human, right? Other creatures from another world that the Mind Flayer has been to in the past. Just food for thought. The article goes on to say that whatever the spinoff turns out to be, the Duffers will no longer have the all-consuming jobs of being its showrunners. They'll be heavily creatively involved, but they'll hopefully be writing and directing something new in the meantime, helping shepherd it along. So they won't be the sole creators of whatever the live-action spinoff and future spinoffs might be. They'll still give creative guidance and likely chime in to keep things in line with canon, but they're not going to be out here grinding the writing process and directing all these episodes. Does that alarm you? Let me know in the comments down below, but I think we'll be in good hands, especially with someone like, say, Kate Fry stepping up, or a lot of the other experienced writers and directors who have helmed episodes of Stranger Things over the show's 5 seasons, so I'm honestly not too concerned. What's next in this article is pretty fascinating. It actually details how the Duffer Brothers were burnt out after season 2, and they thought the show would just be a 4-season scenes and done type of deal, but it wasn't until they did season 3 that they realized they would need a 5th season. Of course, when they got into season 4, they introduced Vecna, and Vecna was the 1 to 11. It was like the iconic villain and the iconic hero, and then they realized there was a lot of lore introduced there. You throw in the extensive runtime of season 4 with like the Hopper and Russia storyline and the Cali crew, and they couldn't conclude it all in that season, so they did have to make a 5th season. I remember back in the day when they put out that letter on Instagram letting fans know, hey, 2 more seasons are coming your way. The article then teases where season 5 will open, and we kind of been able to put the pieces together with this regarding all the information we already have from footage and raw stuff or photo dumps. But the article says that at the start of season 5, the formerly far-flung characters are now all back in Hawkins, living under military quarantine. It's an 18-month time jump from the season 4 finale when Vecna cracked open the Upside Down, eroding the membrane between the 2 dimensions. And with everyone being in the same place, it's brought down the episode's runtimes with most around an hour. Episode 4 clocks in at 83 minutes, and the finale, says Matt Duffer, runs around 2 hours. I actually made a full video about the Volume 1 runtimes that were released by Ross Duffer. I'll link that up above, you can check it out. But it's worth noting that yes, the episodes aren't going to be all an hour 45 or 2 hours and 15 minutes. The episodes are going to be shorter than the season 4 episodes, but not by much, and they're still all going to be, for the most part, over an hour long, so we're getting fed. People need to relax. But the 18-month time jump checks out because season 4 ends in March of 1986, and we know that this season is going to be set in November of 1987, so that is just about 18 months. And Hawkins being in a military quarantine also checks out based on the footage we've seen of the heavy military presence with the trucks and the soldiers and the straight-up lab/base at the library. And we know that the finale of Volume 1, Sorcerer, will be an hour and 23 minutes, which is the 4th longest episode of Stranger Things as that we know of right now. 5th if you include the finale, which has been confirmed to be around 2 hours, the series finale, that is. We don't know the official runtime for that, but him saying around 2 hours has me thinking anywhere from like an hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours and 25 minutes. The longest episode of Stranger Things to date is the season 4 finale, The Piggyback, which is of course 2 hours and 22 minutes. I don't know if we'll get to that height, but 2 hours is still a full-on movie. In fact, that's longer than a good chunk of movies that come out nowadays, so we do not need to worry. We're in for a treat. They're gonna land the plane here. And I really emphasized this in the video I posted yesterday, so I'm not gonna get too in-depth with it here, but this season's gonna be a lot more of the conclusion and the payoff, whereas season 4 was sort of setting up the end and introducing Vecna, so it had a lot more legwork to do. This time around, just like the article states and the Duffers, all the characters are in Hawkins already. We know what's at stake. They can hit the ground running at 100 miles an hour. The article then gets into some of the biggest things that need to be addressed or answered in season 5, and the Duffers acknowledge how they will address what the Upside Down actually is. The article says that going into the writer's room, they knew the biggest questions they needed to answer were about what the Upside Down was. Every season would be like, should we talk about it? And we would go, no, let's wait. And then finally, we're like, well, we have to now. So this season's finally gonna give us the answers to the burning questions we've had about what the Upside Down actually is, and hopefully how it could connect to Dimension X and all the lore. Give us all the lore, I want it. And the Duffer Brothers are quoted as studying series finales that worked, such as 6 Feet Under, Friday Night Lights, and The Sopranos. But the article goes on to tease Elle's big discovery being shot. Whatever this is, it's gotta be some huge revelation about herself, I would imagine, or Vecna and the Upside Down as a whole. As you get near the end of the article, it talks about how the cast got super emotional reading the final episodes together. This has been teased by cast interviews ever since they wrapped filming. And then there's one detail that I just adore. The article says, in a feat of logistics, the production miraculously arranged the shooting schedule so that every principal actor's final scene on the show was also their last day of filming. Knowing this is going to make every actor's final scene hit 10 times harder. Like, not only is it the last time we're gonna see this character in Stranger Things and we're gonna watch their arc wrap up and, you know, hopefully right off into the sunset, we're also watching the actor's last time filming a scene, because oftentimes in movies and shows, scenes shoot out of order. So the fact that this lined up to have actors shoot their final scene and that also be their last scene shooting for the movie or show, it's pretty damn impressive. And the last quote I'll pull here is addressing the finale. It says, particularly the last 35-40 minutes of that episode are us processing the end of the show and saying goodbye to these actors. We just finished editing all those scenes, and it was emotional just to edit it, because these people, they weren't acting in this moment. So to me, it sounds like we're in for another really emotional epilogue, much like what we got in season 4. I mean, there are multiple moments in the season 4 epilogue that got the tears swelling. Just think of the moment with Wayne, Munson, and Dustin. That scene times 10, I imagine, will be in this finale, especially if one of our main characters ends up dying, it's gonna rip all of our hearts out. And I got emotional just reading this article, so actually sitting down to watch this, acted out, fully edited, whew, I'm gonna need all the tissues in the world. It really does sound like Stranger Things is gonna give its characters that Lord of the Rings, Return to the King, Avengers Endgame style ending where everyone gets an ample amount of time to have a final goodbye scene that ties a bow on their character and their journey in this show. And one final thing, and perhaps the biggest takeaway from this entire article, is we got a new image from season 5. Here it is in all of its glory. You can see it's actually the Wheeler family and the Byers family sitting around a table eating what looks like breakfast together. Now, if you look at the background, they're most likely in the Wheeler house. And why are they all together at a breakfast table? It makes sense that they're sharing a meal for like lunch or dinner. But the question I then ask is, where are the Byers living? We still don't know for sure where they reside in this new season of Stranger Things. Obviously in season 4, they lived in California. Safe to assume they're back in Hawkins, but are they just living with the Wheelers? Are they just over for breakfast on a Saturday morning? Questions we'll obviously get answers to. Our King Ted Wheeler is shown. This is technically the first time we've seen him in season 5, and he looks as disgruntled as ever. We see Nell Fisher as Holly. She's reading a book unbothered, and it looks like Will and Jonathan are having a little sibling dispute. Nancy drinking some orange juice, and Mike just kind of chilling in the corner. So yeah, we've got a Wheeler Byers breakfast going. Make of that what you will. All that to say, I really do believe we're in good hands with the Duffer Brothers here, rounding out Stranger Things, bringing it to a beautiful close. I have no concerns. I'm just anxious to sit down and watch it. I'm nervous, I'm excited, but I'm not worried about them fumbling this ending. I trust them wholeheartedly to stick the landing, and I think we all should. This article is encouraging, and it's really awesome to just get some insight into filming for some episodes of this final season, but also to hear the Duffers talk about their journey. They gifted us with Stranger Things, and I can't wait to celebrate the show ending in only a few weeks now. That's insane to say out loud. But the next big thing is the official trailer, which will be coming in 2 to 3 weeks if I had to guess. So of course, make sure to subscribe if you haven't so you can be notified when that trailer drops. I'll have a reaction, a breakdown, the whole 9 yards. You won't want to miss it. But what do you guys think of this article? What do you make of everything I detailed here? Of course, let me know down below and hit that like button. And if you want extra Stranger Things content or just live streams and other content in general, because I talk movies and shows outside of the world of Stranger Things, Patreon is the place to be. Any support over there would mean tons. But thank you guys as always for watching, and until next time, I'll see you on the other side of the Upside Down.